Hey Startup Nation, I am so glad you came back to join us for another edition of the Startup Life. You clearly are ready to get the tools you need to get ahead of the competition. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating while you're here. Now, if you're looking for an ad-free experience, go ahead and sign up for our Patreon page, where you will get exclusive content and access to our digital products that we're beginning to launch. The link is there in the show notes. And if you want to ask questions directly to some of our guests, follow the Startup Life Podcast Club on Clubhouse, as some of our conversations will start to happen there. But back to the task at hand. Are you ready to level up? Of course you are. Get ready as the Startup Life Podcast begins now.
It's time to be about that life, the startup life. Here's your host, Dominic Lawson.
All right, Startup Nation. So I hope you're ready to receive some value today. My name is Dominic Lawson, and this is the Startup Life, the show for entrepreneurs and career-minded professionals. You know, Startup Nation, we've been hearing that thing again, Bitcoin. A lot in the news lately and stuff like that. And, you know, we had to bring back a 3-time returning champion here on the Startup Life Podcast. My guy, Terrence Tepera Wilson, founder of the Funding Clinic. And if you want, some help, with financials and stuff like that, trying to get loans and stuff like that, the PPP is back out there in full effect, and he's definitely helping people with that. Go to www.thefundingclinic.com. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you listen to the replay on the podcast. But without further ado, we have Terrence Tepera Wilson. What's going on, boss man?
Oh man, hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be on with you. It's a great Friday out here in LA.
Right. Out there in sunny California.
Day, oh yes.
I hear that, man. So again, thank you so much for coming on the show once again. And also, we are doing this Startup Nation on Clubhouse. So if you want to go ahead and be part of the conversation moving forward, make sure you follow the Startup Life Podcast Club here on Clubhouse. So that way, if you were here, you would be able to ask Terrence a question as well about, financials and everything else going on for sure. So Terrence, man, before we hop into it, man, because we had a lot to cover, man, we're going to talk a little PPP loan, a little Bitcoin, even a little Kanye as well. So definitely get into that as well. But before we get into that, man, just kind of tell the people, man, I got in my Facebook memory today that we released that, that episode about Bitcoin about 3 years ago today, apparently. Right.
Whoa.
So it's actually kind of great to have you back on for that. But just kind of tell the people what you've been kind of up to the past 3 years, man, since we last spoke.
So since we last spoke, what I did, I cashed out some of my Bitcoin.
Okay.
I be debt free. And I made the leap of faith to travel halfway across the country to be with my woman, who's now my wife.
Absolutely.
And because of what I sold in my Bitcoin, I was able to actually a fresh new start here, and where I was able to focus on building a business. I don't know, for those who don't know, the cost of living from Memphis to LA, 3 to 4 times higher.
Might be a little different. Yeah.
But I was able to move here and focus on building a business, and without having to worry about a job. And I can tell you, crypto, Bitcoin, really was a major player in that.
For sure.
Since then, I've started a business where I help business owners and real estate investors access capital to start or expand their businesses. Mm-hmm. And for those that don't qualify, I'm able to help them repair their personal credit and build their business credit so that they do qualify.
Right.
I love it. I love what I do.
I hear that. No, I can definitely tell that, man, for sure. And, a lot of the stuff that, and you talked about, cashing in some of the Bitcoin and stuff like that, be able to not only move out to California, but also kind of build a very successful business out there as well, man. You was kind of saying some of these things 3 years ago, in prep for our conversation today. I went back and listened to that episode. Startup Nation, if you want to get those building blocks and about Bitcoin and blockchain and stuff like that, make sure you check out that episode, What That Bitcoin Do. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you listen to the replay on the podcast, man. But you were talking about this very thing, being able to leverage the cryptocurrency to kind of do these type of things, live the life you want to live, build the business you want to build, and stuff like that, man. So I want to kind of lead off with this question here because, one of the questions we asked you 3 years ago, right, was, there was a lot of speculation at the time that Bitcoin was either going to drop down to 5,000 or go up to 60,000. Right. And it was right at that recording. It was about like trading at, I think, $11,000 a coin. Right. And so now here we are 3 years later. And it's like, as of this recording, around $58,000 a coin. You know what I mean? So, man, first of all, take a lap because you get to do that. But also just kind of tell us, man, why the rise, man? Why did you come out on the right side of that commentary?
Well, Bitcoin is a hedge against the current economic system.
Right.
All right. So Bitcoin is, the idea behind it is that it provides those that were left out or on the fringes an opportunity to participate. Now, during the time, a lot of individuals, when I mean like major banks or hedge funds who were scoffing at Bitcoin, they really saw it as a threat to what they were doing.
Right. The establishment, right?
Yeah, but they've since realized, hey, we need to get on board with either Bitcoin or some other type of cryptocurrency. So lately, I don't know if you heard about, well, everybody's heard Elon Musk moving the financials of Tesla to Bitcoin. Well, that was actually inspired by the CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor, in 2013, was a huge opponent of Bitcoin. He called it stupid, crazy money, a waste of time. Now he's one of the biggest proponents of Bitcoin. And he's also responsible for a lot of hedge funds moving their balance sheets over to Bitcoin.
Right.
It's a hard ass. Well, I don't want to over.
Gotcha. I got you. No, I definitely get that. But, no, one of the things is, and this is one of the things we always talk about here on the startup life, man. It's like, if you're paying attention what's going on around you, it's not exactly as hard as you think to kind of predict the future, right? Or kind of tell what's going to happen next. And you talked about that, 3 years ago, where you talked about like reading the white papers, paying attention what's going on, and stuff like that. And one of the things you also talked about was the adoption part, the mass adoption part, right? We talked about Warren Buffett, having shares in in Bank of America, who kind of developed his own who filed a patent for its own cryptocurrency and stuff like that. You talked about it being part of pop culture, right? We talked about it being in video games and cartoons and stuff like that. And in the 3 years, Fortnite was all the rage and talking about V-Bucks, right? Almost kind of like grooming us to be part of, the cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And now just a few days ago, Morgan Stanley announced that, that they were going to now allow, I guess their biggest, biggest investor, the wealthier clients to now, buy Bitcoin from stuff like that. So my question to you, Terrence, is this, man, like, is it still too early? I mean, I'm not still too early. Is it one of those things where it's not too late to get into Bitcoin, or is it one of those things where we've missed our mark? Or just kind of give some commentary on that, if you don't mind.
Sure. I could give a perfect example.
Sure.
All right. The internet started as ARPANET in 1969.
Right.
In 1997 is when it became mainstream. Right. Bitcoin right now is where the internet was in 1997.
Right.
The majority of Bitcoins have already been mined, but the last Bitcoin won't be mined until the year 2140.
Right.
So there's over 2 million Bitcoin left to be mined. So what I'm saying is there will be a time when you won't be able to buy Bitcoin. or by a Satoshi, which is a unit of a Bitcoin, a 100 millionth of a Bitcoin.
Right.
So what I'm telling people, don't look at the current price. Look at the amount that you're able to afford to spend without risk of the volatility that may arise.
Right.
And buy consistently. And look at it as a store of value. And that's what it is. It's an electronic store of value. It's the equivalent of gold,
right,
but better. Because if you had $1 million in gold that you need to transfer, you need to travel from here to India or to Europe or wherever, traveling with that will be crazy. But you can do that with Bitcoin.
Right.
Or another cryptocurrency.
For sure. And we've started to see, a lot of people are, again, kind of talking up Ethereum, just like they did 3 years ago, but they're definitely talking it up now. Then there's another one that's new to me, obviously. Is it Dogecoin or something like that? Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. Forgive me. But like we're seeing that kind of be part of the lexicon of cryptocurrency and stuff like that. And now it's one of those things where it's like, now if I go to my local store or something like that, I went to Crosstown here in Memphis, Tennessee, right? Like, before everything happened and stuff like this, about a year ago, right? Walking through Crosstown, there's a Bitcoin ATM that wasn't there before, right?
Yeah.
That happened within those 3 years. And now you go to a store and stuff like that, where, you'll say we accept MasterCard, Visa, and now Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so again, it's like we're getting closer and closer to this acceptance, which leads me to my next question, man, because, I shared this article and you looked at it and stuff like that about the NFL lineman recently who wanted half of his contract to be, paid to him in Bitcoin, right? And everybody was like, man, what's up with him? Stuff like that. Then Bitcoin shot up to, I think, like $60,000 a coin, and turned his $13 million a year contract to a $21 million a year contract. Well, who looks foolish now? You know what I mean? Exactly. It said now that makes him one of the most highest paid, people in the NFL. So my question is this, man: do you see more and more, not necessarily maybe contracts or stuff like that being converted to Bitcoin, but do you see things like people asking for their salary in Bitcoin, more and more people asking for not necessarily just payment in Bitcoin, but just more so finding additional ways and new ways to accept Bitcoin? And how fast do you see that happening, Terrence, in your opinion?
So my answer will be yes. And going back to, you mentioned Ethereum.
Right.
On Ethereum blockchain is where a lot of the development for these platforms are being created. So there's something called DeFi, which stands for decentralized finance. Mm-hmm. And basically on these platforms, they're providing opportunities, or there are companies that are building on it. So think of your app store in your phone.
Right.
But it's built on a blockchain. So where's your app? And if the Startup Life puts an app in an Apple and the Google Play App Store, if someone complains about it and there's a bunch of complaints, there's a possibility you could be removed from their store.
Right.
Or if you're on a blockchain, there's you own it. There's no, you can't be removed.
Right.
So these companies are developing alternatives to the financial system on this blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, to provide these type of payment gateways so that you can receive your paycheck in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, or to where you can, let's say, the option for me, and when making my move, I sold my Bitcoin. Well, now there are platforms where I can do what's called staking my Bitcoin, and I can actually take out a loan against my Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency.
Right.
So whereas I can get a loan of 75% of that value in less than 15 minutes with no credit check. It's just using the value of my current Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, and I could use as fit.
Gotcha.
So yes.
no, it just amazes me. Like, again, like, it's, amongst other things in society, when we talk about currency and stuff like that, is just really being challenged. And at this point of like, maybe changing into something else. Right. But let me ask you this, because now, just like anything else, man, when there's like a trendy thing or whatever, whether it be entrepreneurship or cryptocurrency, the scammers start to come out, right? Now we're starting to see people sliding the DMs talking about, hey, do you want to buy Bitcoin, or have you tried out this Bitcoin, whatever, ETF or whatever the case may be, man. So I guess for the people, who are thinking about maybe, buying into Bitcoin, buying in Ethereum or Litecoin or wherever the case may be, right? What are some of those things when people, talk about, buy into their cryptocurrencies? Like, what are some red flags maybe I need to look for just to make sure that I'm not getting scammed? Because I know everybody's not like out here trying to like get over on people, right? But I mean, let's be honest, there's people out here trying to get over on people, right?
Oh yeah, yes. And hey, I've been a victim of many of them.
Gotcha.
I've thousands. Mm-hmm. But I look at it, instead of crying about my losses, I say that's education.
That's true. That's true.
Education space. And what I've learned is, with a crypto project, what I usually look at, the team behind that project. So usually on the white paper, you can go and see, or on their website, you can see first they have the white paper,
right,
which lets you know what is it that they plan on doing. Then you look at the team behind it. So you look for people who have experience in tech. You look for people who come from certain corporations. Like, for instance, there's a cryptocurrency platform or ecosystem being built wherein the founders of it are from YouTube and Twitch. They were founders of YouTube and Twitch. Mm-hmm. And they're doing a streaming service platform. So one that experience, that would impress someone. That would impress me. So I'm like, whoa, they have experience in what they're doing in the blockchain space.
Gotcha.
Then you see the relationships they have. So this particular company, they have some relationships with like Lionsgate and Sony. So now you see that it's the real deal. So when I found that it was this coin, it was like $3 a coin. And I'm like, this is the real deal. So I did a little more research. I grabbed some, did some more research, and I'm saying, this is one of these big plays in the crypto space. And then you look at the roadmap. There's something called a roadmap. So they basically give a map of what they're going to do by these specific dates. Mm-hmm. So you look and see, if they said that by March 1st, they're going to release this, and by March 15th, they haven't, that will raise a red flag. Mm-hmm. Like, why haven't they?
Gotcha.
So is it something to provide, fix a problem, to be a solution to an existing problem, or is it a money grab?
Right.
And from there, that will be. So most of the red flag is, if somebody tells you, like me, I don't tell people, hey, invest in this in Bitcoin because you'll get rich. Right. I say it's a store of value. But anybody that's telling you, hey, you can make this much money investing in this product, this cryptocurrency project, that's a red flag right there. And that's something I had to learn along the way.
Right.
Yes, it's very profitable. I've seen profits, but if you get in looking for a get rich quick scheme, you look for immediate riches, it's a setup for disappointment.
For sure. No, I appreciate that, man, because like, look, we here at the Startup Life, we definitely want people to look into different things, but we also have an obligation to kind of help not get, whatever right now. But I will say this, full disclosure, just like I did 3 years ago, this is for your, educational purposes, Startup Nation. We are not telling you to invest in Bitcoin, not invest in Bitcoin, or whatever the case may be. Obviously, you need to do your due diligence in order to do what's best for you and your family, and also your, your pockets, or whatever the case may be. So definitely appreciate all that, Terrence. Let me do a quick reset. Once again, we are talking to Terrence Santepenra Wilson, the founder of the Funding Clinic. Make sure, if you want to check out his knowings and goings and stuff like that, or need a little help, stuff like that, go to thefundingclinic.com. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access. And we want to also let you know that we are doing this episode on Clubhouse. If you want to get in part of the conversation on Clubhouse, make sure you follow our club, the Startup Life Podcast Club, here on Clubhouse. Once again, we got Lawrence and Bimini, and my guy Lucas just came through. Appreciate you coming in, Lucas, and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn hand raising on because I know there may be some questions about Bitcoin. And while I do that, I'm going to go ahead and ask this quick question here, Terrence. And I just lost my train of thought. I do apologize about that.
No problem.
Oh, no, I know what I was going to ask because, 3 years ago, we talked about this where, what you would love to see around cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Well, I actually got two questions. One is, we would like to see like those ancillary businesses outside of or in around the cryptocurrency space. You talked about a quote from the gold rush about like the people who really made out were the people who out here selling shovels. Right. So, but one of the things like, have you seen, and I know 3 years, in the span of the universe, it's not very long. But have you seen any, not necessarily business that were established around cryptocurrency, or maybe just some that like that the early rumblings, the starting of like those ventures have started surrounding cryptocurrency? What have you seen the past 3 years, Terrence?
Oh, wow. So where I live at in Los Angeles, I'm in Inglewood.
Gotcha.
And there's a over the chain, there's a storefront.
Gotcha.
Can go into. It's called the Crypto Blockchain Plug.
Okay.
You can go there and you can purchase crypto over the counter, and you can purchase other crypto products. They have classes. They have a workspace, like I can't think of the name, like a WeWork type facility.
Yeah.
Where you can meet up, you can rent office space. They teach you how to mine. They sell the equipment to mine crypto. The works, and I love it. Seeing Bitcoin ATMs all over,
right,
and else. Then the online products that have been created to where I know some individuals who actually operate 100% crypto, and so the way that they're able to do that is there are companies that have MasterCard and Visa cards where that can be attached to the crypto accounts.
Right.
Then there's a company that you can actually send crypto to, and you can purchase gift cards to your favorite businesses and use it there. So it's so much. And something earlier you mentioned when you mentioned Fortnite. Well, I don't want to go too far ahead, but
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, there are games in the crypto space that have been developed.
Okay.
Wherein you can purchase, like, think back to, let's use Fortnite. Okay. I'm not that familiar with it. But
neither am I, but I have nieces and nephews who love it and kids who love it. So, go for it.
What I can use as an example is, there are games in the crypto space like Fortnite where your kids or you can actually purchase plots of land in the game, or you can purchase the items that are used in the game, and those items have a value that can actually be traded. So in one game, Sandlot, the largest sale that took place of a virtual land actually was last month. Someone paid $1.5 million for a piece of virtual land. So there are people who are buying and flipping virtual land.
That's crazy.
There are digital collectible cards. I know someone they purchased. I was in a master class because I have a percentage of my monthly income. I have a set aside amount set aside to invest in my education because I see the growth in this space. And also, I believe in investing in my education for personal and self-development.
For sure.
But I was in a master class where someone purchased a pack of digital cards. They paid $230 for an NBA pack. It's like there were 9 cards. It's like you really don't know what's in it. It's like a secret box. But in that card, in that pack, one of the cards was a LeBron card that was currently going for $2,500 on the market. They paid $230 for it.
That's crazy.
Then there's a platform where you purchase something like that, where you can actually use it as collateral for a loan. So in the crypto space, crypto is now clarified as an asset.
Right.
Whereas you can actually operate without having a credit score or the other factors that are variables that are used in the, let's say, in the outside world or the centralized world.
Right.
It's totally amazing.
Right. It seems like, and we, again, it started makes you probably gonna get tired of me referencing our conversation from 3 years ago, but it really is the foundation of what we're talking about today. But you talked about this through, a couple of years ago where, not necessarily just Bitcoin itself, but the cryptocurrency space as a whole is now, allowing for those people who may be underserved or whatever the case may be, underbanked and stuff like that, now to get into, to kind of do things that they want to do because this cryptocurrency is allowing them to do that, whether it be start businesses, get loans, this, that, and the other. We gave the example of like investing in, third world countries that don't necessarily have that ability to get like the traditional bank loan or something like that to start like a rice farm or something like that. You know what I mean? So, no, I appreciate you sharing that. And you mentioned MasterCard earlier, and this is one of the things that I've been fascinated about the whole cryptocurrency, in particular blockchain technology, is that like when we recently talked to the chief marketing officer of MasterCard, Raja Manar, but he's also the president of their healthcare business. And he said one of the biggest technologies he's very excited about is blockchain in the healthcare space. So, it just goes to show again, you talk about Morgan Stanley, you talk about MasterCard, you talk about Elon Musk, you talk about Bank of America, you talk about Warren Buffett. 3 years ago, we talked about Jamie Dimon. It's like more and more people are giving this thing validity, right? And so it just goes to show that, like, I'm not saying invest in Bitcoin, but you damn sure better be paying attention. You know what I mean? Is that fair to say, Terrence?
It's very fair. It's fair to say. That is fair to say.
For sure. So kind of want to switch gears again. If you're there here in Clubhouse and you want to ask Terrence some questions about, Bitcoin or some of the stuff that's going to come up, that we're going to talk about in the future or whatever the case may be here on Clubhouse, that hand raising is now available. So you can go ahead and raise your hands if you want to, just to let you know, we are recording this for the Startup Life podcast. So if that's an issue for you, then maybe you might not want to raise your hand and ask a question. But I want to kind of transition, man, to PPP loans. I know they're back now and stuff like that. So I know they're back now and stuff like that. So, what are some things that you're doing to kind of get the word out about the PPP loan and helping people out, stuff like that? And then we'll get to Lawrence because I see he has a question.
Perfect. So as a business loan broker, I work with business owners, real estate investors daily. So last year when the pandemic hit, a lot of my lenders were running for cover. But of course, because I had established so many different relationships, I was able to remain or continue lending. So the EIDL, that was the first loan that was issued came out. So I was working with an accountant, helping her with her clients, and I was able to get a little guidance from the SBA on how to help clients get approved for it.
Right.
And then the PPP came along. So one of the lenders that I worked with, one of the direct lenders, they were able to help me with that process. So with the PPP, the way it's set up, if your business was in operation prior to February 15th of 2020, you will qualify for it. For that business, your business, it had to be a real business, not necessarily a LLC or S Corp or anything. You could be a gig worker, right, independent contractor, sole proprietor. But as long as you have records, you filed your taxes. So if you do a Schedule C, we're using your Schedule C, mm-hmm, and bank records, we were able to get a lot of clients funded. So I used, of course, Facebook and LinkedIn. That's my main source of marketing.
Right.
And I've been able to help a lot of clients get approved. And we have actually a 95% success rate with our approvals. Now, for clarity and transparency, it's not that 95% of the people that apply get approved. It's more so because we're able to do our in-house underwriting, in that I know what the SBA guidelines are from A to Z. Mm-hmm. So when I look at a file, If one or more letters are missing out of A to Z, we just work with you and let you know, hey, this won't fly. This is what we need. And we'll take the time to be patient with the customer or the client to get them through. This is one of the best loan products I've ever seen. I see loan products every day.
Right.
One, it's not credit based. Two, when you get the funds, you have 10 months before your first payment is due. Then three, the interest rate on it is 1%. You'll never see a business loan at 1%.
No, not at all. Not
but
at all.
Then another plus is if you can show that 60% of, or if you use 60% of those funds for your business, for payroll, more really, you qualify to have it forgiven. And for those who may question, if you're your own employee, if you're an independent contractor, you're a one-man show, you're your employee. It will be your payroll, so you're paying yourself. So you qualify to apply for forgiveness or to have the loan forgiven. And 97% of the loans are forgiven. It's allotted to they're expecting that, but only for those who follow the steps.
Right. And
I mean, I'm encouraging everyone to do it. The current deadline is March 31st. It's been, they're working on an extension to May 31st. The House voted to extend it, waiting on the Senate.
Right.
And I believe that it will be done, but I'm telling you, if you did Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, independent contractor, whatever, hey, I say apply.
I hear that. Thank you for sharing all that information for sure, Terrence. All right, Startup Nation. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We got to pay some bills. Once again, my name is Dominic Lawson, and you're listening to The Startup Life. Hey, Startup Nation. I think we can all agree that 2020 was more or less a dumpster fire, right? I mean, come on. On top of surviving a worldwide pandemic, good friends and family of mine lost their jobs, had their hours cut, or went out of business altogether. Yet many of these same people are talented creatives, web developers, photographers, graphic designers, SEO specialists, and writers with solid, marketable, in-demand skills. So I've turned them onto Hectic. Hectic is an all-in-one business management software built specifically for freelancers who are just getting started or looking to take their freelance business to the next level. Hectic is everything a freelancer needs to get started, from an easy-to-use contracts and proposal builder to client management and project tracking to expenses and invoicing that features click-to-play technology that makes it quick and easy for freelancers to get paid. And we all want to get paid, Startup Nation. Built specifically for freelancers, Hectic is everything you need to get started. Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life now to learn more and start for free. Yep. Adding your first client on the platform will always be free. And if you sign up through gethecticapp.com/the startup life, you'll be supporting me and this podcast, because who couldn't use a little support these days, Startup Nation? Visit gethecticapp.com/the startup life to find everything you need to start or grow your freelancing business today, and put those in-demand skills to good use in the way you've always dreamed of. The link is there in the show notes. All right, Startup Nation, welcome back as we continue our conversation with today's guest here on The Startup Life. We'll go to Lawrence. I think Lawrence may have a question. Lawrence, welcome to The Startup Life, brother. What's your question?
Thank you, Dominic, for allowing me to come on. And how you doing, Mr. Terrence? I got a question. I've heard about stablecoin, and I was wondering, and I heard it from Mark Cuban. I was watching him on EYL, and he talked about stablecoin. What is that? And then, is that more of a safe bet to go if you want to get into the cryptocurrency? Or is it, just something that's just kind of like a whim? You need to really go look at like Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Okay, perfect. That's a great question. How's it going, Lawrence? So a stable coin. So there are different categories for cryptocurrency. So a stable coin there is not one coin. It's a category of coins. So a stable coin is actually pegged to the dollar or pegged to the currency of the country that you're in. So it's more of a way of you can park your money into a stable coin and you know that it will retain the value of a dollar. And it's like you use it for when you're ready to invest in another cryptocurrency, you're able to move it from the stable coin to that cryptocurrency, or you're able to actually move it along across the blockchain. So it's like I can pay you in a stable coin. So there's several stable coins like Tether is a stable coin, DAI is DAI is a stable coin. There's several others, but it's pegged to the US dollar. So it's not something that you get rich off. Now there are platforms where you can park your do what's called staking of your stable coins. And it's almost like a bank. So you park your stable coins with this company and they guarantee to pay you a certain percentage rate, like maybe 6% or higher. And for those that don't know, if your bank, you're getting less than 2%, and inflation is over 3% annually. So more so people use the stable coins as a hedge against inflation and a safe, or what's perceived to be a safe way to park their money rather than their local banks.
Does that answer your question, Lawrence?
Yes, it do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to go to Lucas. Lucas, man, thank you so much for coming in the room. Welcome to the Startup Life, brother. What's your question?
Hey, thanks, Dominic, for allowing me to speak. And I just want to say I'm part of the Money Tribe group with Terrence on Facebook. And I came in to kind of represent for them, but also just to kind of, thank Terrence. Because I actually got started in Bitcoin and really didn't know what it was when I was investing in it. I was just, I want to, this guy isn't knowledgeable. They're trying to put things before they blow up and we get left behind. And so I just jumped in, and being on Clubhouse, there are tons of rooms that talk about Bitcoin and talk about all these other cryptos. And so I've been able to educate myself, and now I know I have a good plan. But my question for y'all is, how do we let other African Americans, like other Black people know, and other minorities know, how to get into these things early? Because I know this is part of what this podcast and what part of what this conversation is about. But what are some of the things that we're actually doing? Because I want to actually be able to help help as well. But what can we do to get the word out? Because some of us, we're early adopters, and we want to get some of the people who are skeptical or who think they can't.
Terrence, you want to take that one first?
Yes, this is a great question. And thanks, Lucas. Hey, man, glad to have you on. I started the group, the Money Tribe, actually for that purpose. I've worked with a number of organizations over the years, and that's actually what helped me start my business in advocating and working in the community to get the word out about financial empowerment, about credit, about business ownership, and things like that. And one of the best tools that I've used, of course, social media. Educating on social media, working within our families, sharing the information with them, letting them know that, hey, look, if all you do, or a good example is $1 in 2017 currently has the purchasing power of 93 cents. But $1 in Bitcoin from 2017 currently has the purchasing power of $57. Showing how this is a way to restore that wealth that's been lost for so many factors, that by parking a percentage of our wealth into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, we can build wealth, the generational wealth that we talk about. That if we look at a Bitcoin as we would look at a house or another asset, how we can actually use that Bitcoin, develop a long-term game plan to where we can actually invest in the crypto while we're learning, while we're putting a plan together. and then use that cryptocurrency to actually borrow against to invest in either property or whatever other asset it is that we want to get into. So it's more so each one teach one, because the idea, the concept behind Bitcoin initially was peer to peer. It's like you and me doing transactions with each other without asking a government or a central bank to for permission. So I can send $1. I'm in Los Angeles. I can send $1 to Kenya. I can send to Europe, wherever, without having to go through a third party. Well, that dollar in another country, depending on their monetary system, can be gold. I know in Gambia, 20 American dollars has the purchasing power of $1,000 there. So that can change lives. Well, that's what Bitcoin does, and we're just showing how it can change lives. What I'll do is I'll send Bimini. Hey Bimini, how you doing? I send to Dominic a list of some resources. There are some documentaries that are amazing, and we just share with our friends and our family. These documentaries, getting together, and even if it's in our living room. When I was in Memphis, we did workshops in living rooms and barbershops and restaurants and churches, and to make use of the space and the opportunities that we have. Like I said, this is the equivalent of the internet in 1997. So there's so much room to grow, and there's so much room for us to actually build upon. And this space is still considered new and young. And you'd be amazed at what's going on in space. I earn cryptocurrency when I walk. I read articles and I earn cryptocurrency. I watch videos and I earn cryptocurrency. And what I'm always thinking about, the work I did, one of the work that I'm most proud of that I did when I was in Memphis. For 8 years, we worked at every other Sunday, going out feeding the homeless, our homeless family. Well, I've always been thinking of how can we use cryptocurrency to help those instead of them begging for money, how they can earn crypto, because there's so many ways that you can earn crypto, and how they could use that to get their basic needs until we figure out some macro solutions to their problems. But the going back to your question, I know I'm long-winded, I get excited, I'm passionate, but just sharing with your family and your friends, those that you have a direct, that you come into contact with, letting them know that the easiest way to purchase crypto is actually through Cash App, and just letting them know that you can purchase $1 worth of Bitcoin, you can purchase $10 worth of Bitcoin. An amount that you can afford to part with without it, negatively impacting your family. And also show that, hey, now don't keep your eyes off, don't pay attention to the dips, but just if you consistently purchase, there's something called dollar cost averaging in stock, where we actually use it in Bitcoin as well. I purchase daily. I have a plan that I purchase some Bitcoin daily. So I'm able to benefit from the ups and the downs of Bitcoin, because when it's down, I'm able to purchase more. So it's more so it's education and letting folks know, hey, this is the future of money, and we're in the future. Don't get left behind.
I hear that. Thank you so much. And I would just add to that, Terrence and Lucas, that look, man, just help who you can, but just don't focus on who you can't help. You know what I mean? Because not everybody is going to listen. Not everybody's going to be receptive to that information. And the time you're kind of using with that person who's not receptive to the information, you could be using that time to be helping somebody else. That's why we have this show. This is, why, whether it's Bitcoin or entrepreneurship, we reach who we can reach. You know what I mean? That's all you can do. Ain't that fair to say, Terrence?
That's very fair. That's fair, because there were individuals who laughed at me 2017, 2015.
Right.
I got Bitcoin 2015, started posting about it on Facebook. and folks are like, I don't believe you're into this scam, this monopoly money, hey, they use that to buy drugs and other illegal activities.
Right.
And many of them folks that came, they inboxed me, hey man, I feel like an idiot. Or whatever. And I'm like, no. Hey, that was fair.
Right.
It was fair. It was fair. You didn't know.
Right.
And
For sure.
I
right.
don't advise anybody to do anything that they don't know or understand.
Right. Or feel comfortable with, I guess.
That's it. That's
right.
it. That's it.
Right.
And I said, hey, I can even give you, I've given out a lot of Bitcoin. I'm married now, so there are some things that
of course.
my wife. but I just say this space is amazing. This is an amazing space. You see kids walking around they have millions of dollars in crypto. They're not even concerned with the money part, the monetary value of it. They just love the space, or they love the game that they're playing. And the idea that it's worth, if they cash it out, that it's $1 million doesn't even faze them.
Right. Because
they're just enjoying, they're just living life. Or if you go back, crypto, Bitcoin, it was mainly created by programmers. So the initial individuals who were in it were gamers. So it appeals to gamers. And, in those games, you're doing those in-game transactions. So for them, this kid who has $1 million in assets in a cryptocurrency, their big flex is they own a castle in the game, or they own this land in the game. And that's all that's important to them. They're not looking at it from a perspective of greed of, I could take $1 million and I can buy this. They're looking at, no, I want this asset that's in the game.
Right.
I want to own the land. And that's why they have millions of dollars in this space. And it's almost, wealth has been created out of thin air. And I love it because it provides an opportunity to where the 7 billion people on the planet have a chance.
Right. As opposed to a selected few. No, I definitely understand that for sure. Hey, Bimini, you got a question. What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, Terrence.
Hey, Bimini.
Good to talk to you. Congratulations to all your success, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here. So, I was one of the people in the beginning who was kind of skeptical of Bitcoin, not because if, the concept of it wasn't viable. It's I guess the concept of how do you place value on something? And I guess I had trouble with that in the beginning. What is the intrinsic value of Bitcoin? But I got to thinking about our current monetary system. It's kind of conceptual as well, right?
Yes.
So, and I think that a lot of people who are skeptical and who don't, who kind of see this monopoly money, I don't think that they understand to take a step back and think about the current monetary system, that it is also conceptual. We all buy into this concept of the US dollar, and we just never question it for decades. So to those people, who want to understand further, how do you explain that the value in cryptocurrency is that decentralization of access to money, be it US dollar, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, IOTA, what have you, that this new way of thinking about money is basically you're taking all of the constraints of the economic system that we have in place now, and you're eating away at it to free up where the administration of, or I guess the constraints on the facilitation of commerce is broadened, because you talked about, how people who are disadvantaged has a chance if they get into this. Can you explain how do you relay that information to people who don't understand, like what is cryptocurrency? Because a lot of, you hear it and it sounds fancy, but if you can't bring it down to make it tangible, a lot of people will just, not pay attention.
You're so correct. You're so correct. So what I tell individuals first this is an opportunity for you to create a bank or a treasury for your family. I try to be careful with using the word bank, but this is the opportunity for you to create a treasury for your family. It's a form of digital money or currency that's backed by math. And when I say it's backed by math, is that the idea is that governments print money on demand to meet the needs of the nation. But the problem with that is the debt that ensues, or the inflation. So what happens is the value of that money loses purchasing power. So I tell people that it's a form of digital money that's deflationary. The idea is that it will hold a value, just like gold did for more than 10,000 years. But the difference is with it and in gold is it's transportable. Like I gave the example earlier to Dominic, if you had $1 million and you're traveling from Memphis to another part of the country or somewhere else in the world, it would be almost impossible to travel with $1 million in gold bars. But with Bitcoin, you can do it. Not only can you travel with it, you can send it. So I tell individuals, like, it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it is an asset. It's considered an asset, and it is something that you can actually build wealth for your family with. But I also suggest that they read the Bitcoin white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto. I suggest that they watch a few documentaries like The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. And in the past, I would give them Bitcoin. Now I have a link where you can actually watch a few videos, and I'll send that to Dominic as well, where you can watch a few videos and you can actually earn some cryptocurrency that you can actually either keep in the cryptocurrency that it's in or convert to Bitcoin. But just show that this is a fair system. There'll never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. One Bitcoin breaks down to 100 million units, called a Satoshi. And I tell people, don't focus on what the current price of Bitcoin and see it is so out of reach for you. Just purchase as many Satoshis as you can. Currently, a $1 can purchase close to 2,000 Satoshi. At some point in the future, people will be purchasing, or you'll hear more talk of Satoshi instead of how much does this cost in dollar. They'll say, hey, give me 300 Satoshi or give me 20 Satoshi. That's what's going to happen. I say do as much as you can to study, and I usually give resources like going to Coin Market Cap, Coin Telegraph. I tell them read the white papers so that you can learn what these products are, what they're doing, what these projects are. And in that process, you have the opportunity to act as our venture capital firms or private equity firms, in that you have the opportunity to invest in the company before everyone else does, before the majority of the world knows about it. And it's an opportunity that is life-changing. And I usually share my story of how April of 2015, my first set of Bitcoin I purchased, they were $450 a coin. I was introduced to it by someone on Facebook, and it intrigued me. And I was already involved or interested in economics and entrepreneurship. So I just saw this I didn't see it as something that would go to $60,000 in my lifetime, but I saw it as something that I should learn as much as I can about, I should purchase, and I should share with my friends and those I care about. And now I've been reborn, sort of say. I was a believer in 2015. I was really a believer 3 years ago. But now it's like I've met so many people out here in LA that are in this space, and so many other people that I've communicated in my travels, that I know that this is the key to changing the conditions of a lot of people in our community and around the world. And I know I'm long-winded. Let me know if I answered your question.
You did. I guess my concern in the future, I know you're about to wrap up, Dominic, maybe, is in the future as more cryptocurrencies enter the market. Do you see more of a more pressure to, okay, well, how do what's the value in buying my cryptocurrency versus the other cryptocurrency? And do you see us eventually severing ties from the US dollar completely?
Yes. That's great question. So there's a site, it's called Coin Market Cap, for those that are not familiar with it. It lists over 8,000 cryptocurrencies. But now in the cryptocurrency space, there's hundreds of thousands. There's probably millions of cryptocurrencies. We can create a cryptocurrency. 8,000 if we just go to Coin Market Cap. Out of the 8,000 coins that are on there, 99% of them are worthless. So it's a matter of researching the coin. What is this project about? So as I mentioned earlier, you get the opportunity to actually look at what's the team behind this project. So if someone from that team is from Stanford, MIT, or one of those colleges, there's a high chance that person is high in technology. So that's a good thing. So you look at what's the problem that they're trying to serve, trying to solve them. So is it in that you'll be able to see, is this a get rich quick opportunity that they're trying to just get you to purchase their crypto so that they can use it to purchase more Bitcoin or an established cryptocurrency? Or do they really believe in what it is that they're doing? Also look at the relationships that they're developing. You notice that there are cryptocurrencies that are pennies or less than $10 or very affordable that have relationships with some major companies. Well, in doing your research, you have the opportunity to see, wait, this company just developed a relationship with Sony and Lionsgate, and they're doing a streaming company. Or this company, they have a relationship with Amazon. I've never heard of this coin. Well, it's actually a company in most cases. Well, you get to see that. Well, if you see someone that just say, hey, this cryptocurrency is going to change the world, and they really have no clear explanation of how they're going to do it, there's a high chance that they're running a scam, that they have something that's worthless, or maybe they actually believe in what it is that they're doing, but it's a matter of how do they get it, convey it to others to actually use it in some form or fashion. So yeah, you'll see a lot of worthless cryptocurrencies. And yes, so I see the US dollar moving into a digital currency. So a decentralized digital currency. Dominic mentioned how we mentioned Jamie Dimon on our last interview. Well, JP Morgan, they're in talks of coming out with their own cryptocurrency. You heard Facebook was considering doing a project called Libra. Well, it will be a decentralized currency. Along the lines of it will be a centralized currency along the lines of the US dollar. The US dollar is on its way out, especially we look at COVID and the many fears that arise. So that'll be used as an excuse. Hey, passing dollars, we pass germs. So a lot of people are moving away from that. And so I see within our lifetime, a digital currency from the United States government, or Federal Reserve, should I say.
Does that answer your question, Bimini?
It does. Thank you so much, Terrence.
Okay.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for that question, Bimini. Just do a quick reset. I'm going to ask one last question, and I promise we're going to get Terrence out of here. We've been very grateful for his time. Once again, we've been talking to, and we're actually wrapping up with Terrence Santepari Wilson, the founder of the Funding Clinic. And if you want to make sure you got your ducks in a row from a financial literacy standpoint or that PPP loan, make sure you go to thefundingclinic.com. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access if you listen to replay on the podcast. Also, if you were curious about all those resources that Terrence has been mentioning here on the podcast, we have a link for all of that. All that information is there in the show notes for easy access as well. And Terrence, you were talking earlier about like people, making fun or whatever case may be, and talking about, man, you're crazy, this, that, and the other, man. There's a certain rapper that it happened to as well, Kanye West. And so with his recent not necessarily recent statements, but recent findings from UBS saying that he's worth over $6 billion now due to his, apparel line. He has a large stake in Kim's clothing line as well, man. Just kind of give some commentary on that, man. A lot of people, no matter how you feel about Kanye from a political standpoint, stuff like that. I'm talking about Kanye, the businessman, exclusively here. Just kind of give some commentary on Kanye, how he did it, what he did and stuff like that, man. Because a lot of people are like, how in the world did that happen?
I'm gonna tell you, I love Kanye with all his faults and all his faults. I love him.
Same here.
I love Kanye because he's unashamed. He doesn't ask for permission to do what he wants to do. He just does it. And because of that, it's led to his success. I haven't seen a pair of Yeezys that I will purchase, but
right.
But I'm happy for his success, and he's made developed the right relationships. So Adidas and Gap and other companies, and his investment in Kim's company and whatnot. And he's a genius. He's brilliant.
Right.
I try to stay away from talk about whatever his mental stability or his political views, right? Because that's so divisive in our community. I just love the fact that he's free, he's making money, he's living a life of his dreams, or that could be a life of someone's dreams, and I appreciate that. Right. And it's paying off for him. Now, I don't know how it is for him in his household, and that's really not my right. I have nothing to do with that. Right. But it's inspiring. It's inspiring that someone can be wealthy selling something that you wouldn't buy.
Right. For sure. For sure.
Or that you would criticize when you see it.
Right. I
think, or what the,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's it. I'm saying, like, you see it like, what in the world is that? But I love it.
Right.
And I appreciate that. And it's paying off. And I hope that it inspires others to pursue their dreams and just go forward. Just ignore the noise, the naysayers, and pursue your dreams. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's someone that wants what it is that you're selling, that you're offering.
For sure. For sure. It always amazes me that a lot of the most successful people that we see often are either very strict about their lifestyle in some kind of way, or they have some eccentricity to them, if you will. And so you definitely know that Kanye definitely, walks to the sound of his own drum more often than not, for sure. And a lot of people were wondering why, like, how in the world is he worth that much? And this comes to, a UBS report that says that the Yeezy brand is combined probably worth between 3.2 billion and 4.7 billion. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, like, that he actually has he owns the intellectual property of the Yeezy brand, but he has a partnership with Adidas. And so he still owns 100% of the Yeezy brand. Just kind of wanted to put that in there. And so, but that's going to wrap up this session of the Startup Life. Once again, we want to thank Terrence Santepari Wilson for coming on this show. Thank you so much, brother. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, my man.
Hey, man, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Lawrence, Bimini, Lucas. Hey, it's been a pleasure. It made my day after 8 calls and a real busy week. This is good. Now, me and the wife, we're about to go get together and go run in the park.
I hear that, man. Thank you so much. And as always, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, The Startup Life. If you want to let us know what you think about the show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on a show, send us a message. Our contact information is there in the show notes, or feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Go ahead and follow us while you're at it. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast One, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and be sure to hit us with that 5-star rating. We would really appreciate that. Be sure to check out the show's website and its startup blog, where either I or some of the world's best business minds share content that will give you the edge you need in your journey, whether that's the path of entrepreneurship or climbing the corporate ladder. Subscribe to our Patreon to listen to ad-free episodes, exclusive content, and digital products that we are beginning to offer. And if you want to be part of the conversation, join the Startup Life podcast on Clubhouse to have the ability to talk directly to some of our guests. And as always, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life.